Welcome to another edition of the Will Be Blood Fight Show. I'm your host, Dave Duenas. We're over here in Hollywood, California at the Wlidcard Gym with the famous Freddy Roach. How you doing, Freddy?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Doing great, brother, you know. Let's just go straight with the bang. You know, we had Nate Campbell on the radio show, Leave It in the Ring, and one of the statements that he made that's really started up a whole ruckus among the fight community is, Manny Pacquiao and you won't fight African Americans.
What happened when we won the super bantamweight title? We knocked out Wlidcard. What color is Wlidcard? Black, okay? Nate, if you were fucking purple, would fight you. You're a bum. Make the weight.
What's your take about him, Timothy Bradley? If he beats Timothy Bradley, is it make an interesting fight or not?
He can't beat Bradley. Bradley's going to kick his ass.
You know, back when you beat Oscar, before the Hatton, I came down on December 8th, and I talked to you about, you know, the defeat with Oscar De La Hoya. And I said, hey, you know, it was a fun match would be, and it really made a lot of sense, is against Miguel Cotto. And at the time, you guys were thinking about Mayweather and even possibly Margarito. And I got a lot of flack from that, from the fight fans. They were saying, you're crazy. But now it's really realistic. What's your take about this fight with him?
It's a tough fight. You know, Cotto's he's a big, strong guy. We're going to fight at 45. You know, they calling us the catchweight king now. It's our first fight at catchweight ever. Sugar Ray Leonard put a cap on the weight when he won the light heavyweight title with Donnie DeLong at 168, but nobody complained back then. But anyway, you know, Cotto, he's our next opponent. We got to figure out how he nullified Shane Speed when he fought him. I've got to expect him to be at his best. So I'm starting to study his tapes now, and I'll come up with a game plan by the time we start training camp in September.
You know, speaking about the catchweights, and you're right, this would be the first, whatever, but I was talking to Shane Mosley, and you know what, he kind of clarified that for me. He said, you know, catchweight it's not really a catchweight fight, because anything from 144 to 149 is considered welterweight regardless.
Actually, 141. Anything over the junior welterweight limit is the next level. So can you consider this a catchweight then? I mean, if it's at the level. Well, the thing is, you know, it is a catchweight because it's 45. So I mean, you know, it's not the 147-pound limit, you know. So, but the thing is, I hear they're trying to make this a non-title fight, though. I want this a title fight. I want Manny to get that welterweight belt. I don't care what the sanction fees are. It doesn't matter. You know, we want that belt. I mean, it'll be his 7th world title, if you count the featherweight title, which was the ring belt at the time when he fought Barrera, because Barrera had given his belt up right before the fight. If you remember, I think it was the WBC belt.
Right. So
we fought for the ring championship at that fight. So, you know, I don't know if people are going to really count that as a major belt holder. You know, the ring is so new right now. You know, it's a great title to have, of course, but it's not really recognized by the other sanctioning bodies.
You're a bookie's dream. I mean, you've been calling out fights, man, every time out. Oscar, then you get Hatton, and you just been on it. Any predictions? I mean, any rounds? Are you guys thinking about unanimous decision, or maybe a round you might pick?
You know, you know, Hatton was so predictable because it was easy. Oscar, I thought because he was fading a little bit. You know, and I said Amir Khan will win a 12-round decision in his last fight, because that's what the game plan we set out. So with Cotto, we're gonna try to break him down, and I think we'll knock him out in the late rounds. But he's gonna be much more resilient than the last two opponents, I feel, because he's bigger, stronger. He's a pretty good chin. You know, he's a tough guy, but. You know, the big thing right now is he the same fighter that he once was since the fight with Margarito? You know, how much did that fight take out of him? He took a lot of punishment in that fight. He hasn't really looked that good since that fight, but I got to expect him to be at his best. So I'm watching the Shane Mosley type fights and how he nullified his speed and so forth. And, you know, I'm expecting Cotto to get up for this fight, because this is a big one. You know, the thing is, he's fighting the pound-for-pound king. And, you know, a win over Manny Pacquiao would do great things for his career.
There's an old saying, there's always one last great fight in a fighter. And that's what pretty much you guys are expecting. You're expecting him to come back with one last great fight, right?
I am. You know, I hear rumor he's going to hire Emmanuel Stewart to train him for this fight and stuff like that. You know, the thing is, he's had his problems with his trainers, and he hired his strength coach to be his trainer for his last fight. Usually that doesn't work out that well.
Right.
But you know, Cotto's he's a strong fighter, good champion. He beat Shane Mosley. He's beat a lot of guys out there. So you know, we're gonna respect him like we do every opponent. But Pacquiao's gonna be in the best shape of his life because he just that's his job.
He's a machine. I think a lot of trainers right now, upcoming trainers, and even the trainers that have already established themselves, they need to watch that you do, because I think a lot of trainers don't do this, which is you're a great matchmaker.
Well, I know styles. Yeah, I've been in the game long enough, and you know the thing is, you know, with today's advancement in videos and so forth, we can watch anybody in the world. Mm-hmm. And if you have that courtesy to watch another opponent and you study that, I mean, really study it and see what his habits are, and what his flaws are, and what his strengths are, you can come up with a much better game plan. And that's where people need to excel on a little bit more. I think it's just, you know, there's a lot more to it than just, you know, I've seen Cotto fight 100 times.
Right.
But have I studied him? No. But am I studying him every night now? Yeah, I'll have a game plan. 2 more weeks.
2 more weeks? Is that when training camp starts?
We'll start shaking out and getting the condition going and so forth. And you know, we're gonna have a 10-week training camp for this one, and we'll get some bigger sparring partners coming in, some strong guys, some guys who move a little bit like Cotto does in the late rounds. So we seem to do lately, and you know, so we'll be well prepared for this fight.
Shane Mosley said he even come down to 140.
I mean, Shane came to my gym twice to negotiate the fight with me. I said, Shane, can you make 142, 143? He says, no. I says, well, okay, there's no fight. He says, you fought Oscar at 147. I said, you're not Oscar.
What do you mean by that?
He's better than Oscar. You know, the thing is, why should I give him an advantage? You know, Manny holds a 140-pound title. We're not looking to go up and fight for his title. You know, if after this fight though with Cotto comes about and Mayweather won't come to the table, Shane will be next, I would say, because there's not many options for us out there. I mean, to make the big fights. You know, Manny's getting towards the end of his career. He wants to fight big fights and nothing but.
Nothing big fights, which he deserves already.
Yeah, and you know, Shane's win over Margarita, he probably deserves a big fight also. He looked really good in that fight. I mean, he's been up and down a little bit lately. He looked real terrible in this fight before that, but he still came back to win by knockout, so he didn't disappoint us. And Shane's, I like Shane, he's a great guy and stuff like this, but the thing is, we can make twice as much money fighting Cotto than we can Shane. So, you know, that's the way we're going to go. I mean, it's a business right now, and Manny Pacquiao, he's going to get paid for what he does.
Absolutely. Floyd Mayweather.
I want to fight him right now. I mean, he's our first choice. He's the easiest fight out of the three.
Really?
Yeah. He's small, he's fragile, he hasn't fought in 2 years. You know, what's the big deal? Where's the greatness? He struggled with Oscar, we killed him. He struggled with Haddon for the first 6 rounds, we killed him. You know, why is everyone so great? He was great at 135 and 140, but at 47 and 54, he's not great.
Right. I got to agree with you. I mean, I've never considered him great at 147 or 152. I mean, 154. But prediction if that fight happens, what round?
We'll get him somewhere. He'll run for a while, but he can't run all night long. I mean, it'll be a late stoppage, but you know, he'll hurt something. He's fragile. His ribs, his shoulders, his hands. He's got all the excuses in the world. You know, just show up and fight, Floyd. Come on.